Do women actually make life better? You may be looking at that soft feminine for friendship with benefits, sex, obviously, that's what we're about. We're visually attracted. We go for what we want. We got the testosterone. We got the sex drive. It is an absolute necessity. And stand on that. That's one of your boundaries. That's one of your wants, needs, and desires. I assert it is a need, like oxygen for myself, 48 hours. I'm chomping at the bit kind of situation. But maybe it's family. Maybe you want children. Maybe you want to start leading that legacy. Maybe you want life partnership. You want somebody in it with you to the end. There's so many reasons. There's so much potential with women, the other half of the coin, femininity. And at the same time, there are so many problems. There are so many distractions. Sometimes it is a double-edged sword. And that's what this conversation tonight is diving into. That is why you're here. Allow me to introduce myself. I am a masculinity architect, Duwayne Langham. This space right here is for men. I've got another channel, Building the Architect. Shout out. If you've got ladies that you want to be in their femininity, that, sisters, mothers, aunties, whatever, these modern women, hey, reach one, teach one. We got to be the change we want to see in the world. So pass them on to that channel. Let them get their knowledge. Live at 5 is on Monday for them. But that is what I'm all about. My study, my work is the divine masculine and feminine energy. If you're familiar with the content, if you've checked out what I put out, you know what I'm talking about. I spit it to you straight. First and foremost, I need you to go ahead and like. If you haven't already, drop the follow, subscribe. You don't want to miss this live at 5 every week. I'm always in the space, on position, doing God's work. By the way, also got a free ebook up on the store, absolutely free. Really, it's called The Dance. And this is all about the dance of yin and yang, divine, masculine, and feminine energy. Pick that up. Dive into it. I'm very proud of that work, and it gives you a solid foundation to understand where I'm coming from, what I'm talking about. Applies to your relationships, applies to platonic friendships, familial, professional, all aspects, your communication. These universal laws are at play, y'all. Whether you know it or not, whether you understand it or not, if you ever heard about law of attraction, all these universal laws and principles, this is forgotten wisdom and knowledge that as much as you can pull out a screen and get all your information on social media, there's not a lot of people talking about this. That's my niche. That's my sandbox. I love it. I love diving into it. So get all that you can. Pick up that free ebook. That'll give you the solid foundation of a base. In the meantime, right here, in this message right here, you're going to get what you need. So let's jump right in. Where do women belong in your life? Do women belong in your life as a man? So what's the problem, right? As a grounded masculine men, that's who I'm speaking to in my audience. That's who I hope you are. That's who I speak into the listening of, is that best version of yourself man out there that I assert we all want to be. That life, a man's world, man's life, is cold. It's harsh. It's isolated. Why? Because you got to build yourself up brick by brick, day by day, chopping the wood, putting in the work. You have to make something of yourself. Fellas, that's just is what it is. Now, there are some benefits to it. For my young brothers, you're going to feel it the most because you haven't had a lot of time on the clock. You haven't had the experience to build into yourself. This cold, harsh world that we go through, dog eat dog, competition. You can thrive inside of it. We can make greatness. That's the other side of the coin, is that the longer you keep going, fellas, it all pays off in the end. Why? Because masculine value, especially when we're talking this sexual dating market, masculine value only increases. You only become more valuable the longer you live. Honestly, just by default, because if you are able to survive, that genetically proves that you're of a certain standard. You can make it. You can understand. You are resourceful. A lot of people get tied up that, it's all about the money, right? That's one of the first big distractions. If you got money, it's easy. Yeah, it can be. If you are desperate, if you don't care about quality, if you're just worried about getting lucky, if sex, what I'm talking to, if for you that's a conversation of he got lucky, plug into this conversation. Because if that's the case, I've made content on it before, you've already missed the mark. See, as a grounded, mature, masculine man, the value that you bring to the table, being willing to lead, That is what masculine strength is all about, because we are conditioned by this hard life, this cold environment, by the isolation that nobody's going to love us. Nobody's going to hand out shit for us. As of today, present 2025, there are no campaigns, taking applications, government handouts to make it easier on men. What's the solution? Pull up your bootstraps, all that good shit, and just put in the work. It's do what you have to do. And that's the very fucking thing that makes you valuable. That's the very fucking thing that makes you indispensable, because you are so willing to be the bigger, broader, badder of the energy. Again, divine masculine energy. That's going to condition you for things and build value into yourself from the jump that on the other side of the coin, women don't have. They can, again, modern women, that conversation. There's nothing wrong with it. Let me also make you aware about divine masculine and feminine energy. This is not an on or off situation. We all, you, I, your boy right here, I have spent years embracing, flowing in my divine feminine energy, needing to soften my edges. I'm a girl dad, y'all. I got 2 daughters sitting out there at the table right now, getting their meal on. And how can you be prepared for that? How can I make those young ladies not end up in this same pissy dating pool? How can I make them the best that they can be if I can't tap into that feminine? So you have to understand, as a base, we all have both. Now, if you're walking in your masculine energy leads. All that cold, harsh, isolated environment, what feminine is not going to deal with, not going to put up with, not that they want to, right? They can if they have to. That's why they can be independent. That's why they can be strong. That's why we have so many conversations about modern women. The confusion with, don't let me get on the soapbox, the confusion with the equality, the feminism conversations. The thing is, we've always been equal, but what's been forgotten is that we are completely fucking different. We are not the same. And these differences, it is what makes things valuable, what is rare, not easily found. Well, in the world of men, masculinity, what is rare, what is not found, softness, comfort, ease, peace, all the fluctuations of the emotional spectrum of life that as human beings feel. And that's what our feminine counterpart brings to the table that is of value. And there's been such a missing in today's society that's lost, because if we're all going for the same thing and we're all the same, where the fuck is the polarity? Polarity is the attraction. You're attracted to women. You can't put them down. You can't resist them, especially we're visual. We're drawn. Those cues catch it from across the street, and you can't help but rubberneck and watch. It is what it is. It's a beautiful thing. I love the feminine. And if there's no polarity, if I can tell by the attitude, the demeanor, the facial expressions, the energy, the clothes, whatever it is, that you just like me. We boys. I might as well dap you up. My dog. No. Me personally, I'm not playing that game. I appreciate the polarity. I appreciate the complement of how we work together in this dance. So that's the world of all those benefits, is because it brings so much of what you are not, which can also be a double-edged sword. It can also be taxing to understand, to get along with, to play nice. And that's where this question really lands home. Where do women actually fit in to a man's life? So I told you about that cold, harsh, isolated environment that we've been conditioned for. And obviously with that, we're going to yearn for the opposite. We're going to yearn for, we need, want, and desire the softness, to be seen, to be acknowledged. Do you feel this? This can only come from the feminine side. Go to your job, go to your work, go to your brothers, go to your boys, go wherever you go in the space of masculine. And tell me if you can get seen, heard, and understood like you can with your mama, with your auntie, with your sisters, with your girls, with the women, with the soft, flowing, feminine energy. And that is what we yearn for. We're still human beings. You and I, men, yes. Strong, yes. Conditioned, masculine, and grounded, absolutely. But at the end of the day, you are still a human being. There is still a forgotten, traumatized, unless you've done the healing, little boy in the background that yearns for that softness, that yearns to be acknowledged and seen. Because see, when you can do all that work, which is what makes you valuable, as you go along your journey day by day, building yourself up, to have someone see that and appreciate it, we have no choice. We have to go forward. We have to be conditioned. We have to keep going, because nobody's going to give a fuck otherwise. Check out if you want. Self-delete if you want. The world will not stop like clockwork. The bus is going to keep coming. The trains is going to keep coming. The planes are going to keep flying off. Ain't no 21 gun salute. Life going to keep lifing. So with all that, we're already conditioned to not pay attention to it. But damn it, if it don't feel good, if it don't energize you, if it don't pump you up to be seen, to have somebody, another human being, not vested interest, to see you, to hear you, to acknowledge you're a smart motherfucker. Damn, you got some swag. Damn, you fine. You going somewhere. I believe in you. Look at those dreams. That's an amazing world, and I want to be a part of it. You see, masculine's power is that masculine leads. I'm going to go lead a life of my own. Nobody here. I'm not looking back to see who's following. I'm going west. I'm doing what I'm doing. I got a dream. I got a vision. And if your leadership is called to, you want to leave the world, your community, your environment, your family, your people better than you found it. And the vote, the power of feminine is in the vote of submission, the vote of compliance, the vote of alignment that, you know what, I feel you. I'm with it. I'm down. I submit. I'm going to trust in your leadership to go behind that. Doesn't that sound fucking delicious? Doesn't that feel good? I ain't even talking about the sex. I ain't talking about a good meal. All that surface stuff that, yeah, we're going to get to it. That's part of it. Why not? Of course. But just, I really want you to hear why this is such a, I can't tell. I kind of, psychology, sociology, social dynamics. I like to get to the root causes of how we work. That's what drives me. That is what my passion is, has always been. And that's what started me in this work. There are psychological root issues to be addressed that we only deal with at the surface. I need to get my dick wet. I need to enjoy some soft feminine company. I need my stomach full. What they say? Fuck me, feed me, shut the fuck up. At its simplest, that's the equation. What does that speak to? Sex. Need that. Desires, wants, needs, and desires. Pleasure. Got to be satisfied. Feed me. Nourish me. Feed my spirit. Feed my soul. Pump me up with air in my lungs to keep going. Because you know what? I'm going to do it anyway for myself, for my vision, for what I want the world to be. That's enough. And masculine has to do that. That's what makes them so attracted. On the other side of the coin, it's the same way. They don't have that. That's not in them unless they're driving and they're masculine as well. But for the femininity, the softness, the relaxation, a leader, that's easy. Cast the vote because we good. Because we can also villainize or make it wrong that your resources, call it a meal ticket. Yes, and at the core, that allows that feminine flower to flourish, to blossom, to flow, and go with the flow. When somebody's got it done, it's a wrap, taken care of. If he's on the job, it's good. It's a green light. No questions asked. Let me kick my feet up. Let me relax. And that's what you want. Asking for this femininity to come out of these modern women. Well, if they don't have a reason to be independent, if they don't have a reason to be strong because they are covered and protected under masculine bounds. Now, of course, I'm not getting into the gender war, not pointing the finger. I'm not about that at all. But these are the symptoms that have this dating game looking all fucked up. These are the symptoms where everybody can push all the problems onto the other side of the fence. Because at the root core, we don't yet understand what are the needs of both sides. We're the same fucking coin. It's just two different sides. And if we can understand the synchronicity of the dance of all of it, the yin and yang, the masculine and the feminine, the men and the women, we can start to have some solutions. I'm painting the picture of the problems that we face in life that make it such a challenge of, damn, well, where do women fit into your life? It can actually be, if you hear the stories, if you've experienced it, shit. As challenging as this dating life, as challenging as marriage and life partnership can be, whatever you call it, no labels, religion, spirituality. I'm not even talking to that. I'm talking to the context of what it takes to live life with another human being, two infinite human beings, perspectives, man, woman, masculine, feminine, whatever it looks like, and all the other dynamics out there, right? I ain't discriminating. This is energy I'm talking about. I'm not worried about the sex or gender. The work that it takes to make that work, it's got to be worth it. And I think that is the bigger question. And that's right where I got it in my notes. Is it worth the work? That's why we have red pill conversations, the red pill rage, pushing everything over there. That's why you got divestors, women, beautiful souls and spirits completely opposed to the existence of men, just evil, diabolical conversations I've heard. And it's no different with that red pill rage. That's all the, say God is love, and the opposite of that, well, hell, it's the other team. That just is what it is. No matter what you believe in, those two dichotomies, love, purity, peace, or the lack thereof. And I'm all about peace, positivity, prosperity, abundance, more than enough, this good life, and spreading that. So that's what we're going to do here. So with that, so we talked about that harsh masculine life. We talked about the yearning for the softness. And I think I've done a good job of painting the picture for you that really it's the lesser of two evils. Because I'll be honest, fellas, I'm going to speak to both sides. There are benefits to not having women in your life. There are benefits to having women in your life. What are some of them, right? Women are feminine. Now, if you know, if you've already got your experience with women, if you know about female nature, this is navigating as a man. I'll be responsible for any of my ladies that are tuning in. You know about my content. I'm unbiased. I know both sides are just as fair, and I got to speak to my guys right now. That femininity, that polar opposite. Here's the thing where I'm going to call you out. It might be a little uncomfortable because you're going to have to mature yourself and grow up before you can step up to this table. If you want to play with the big boys, if you really want to enjoy yourself in the dating game, what would that be like? What would that be like to have everything that you want? What would that be like to have all of the women, not necessarily even non-monogamy, the abundance of women, the choices and options of the caliber and quality of women that you like and desire? What if you could have that? What if you could have them cooking, cleaning, stroking you, petting you, catering to you, whatever it is that you seek and desire, whatever your ideal is? I want to cast the net out there for all. In order to have that, and I say you have to mature to step into that, because it takes maturity and experience, wisdom and knowledge to be able to cater to that. Because remember, I touched on earlier, if you're in a mindset of, I just need to get lucky. I think that was the thumbnail, actually. You just need a warm body. If that's all you're worried about is getting it wet, you're probably in a conversation at the base, which is I'm going to say immature, inexperienced. You need to get lucky. If life is so hard, if that cold, harsh, masculine path is so hard that you are not enjoying the feminine spoils available, it is because you haven't matured inside of it. Now, why is that? You could be counterintuitively shooting yourself in the foot. This is where I speak to that maturity. If you haven't matured to understand and accept feminine is different. The polar opposite of it. You've heard me touch on both sides of the fence. If you don't mature yourself to understand that, let me break it down, right? A man can be in a space where everything about her femininity, while it drew you in and attracted you, you may have heard this, the same thing that draws you in and attracts you is the same thing that can repel you or annoy you, said another way. Why? You see her, you're attracted to you, you go for what you want, shoot your shot. It's successful. She's in your life. You're going on a date. She's somewhere in the mix, right? In your orbit. You've got access to that femininity, to that woman. Her traits, her organization, her communication, her feelings, her integrity, her logic. I'm speaking to all the things that you're not really going to find in a feminine woman, or the things that are going to be, shall we say, different from you. And without the maturity to appreciate, I'll elaborate later why you would want to appreciate. But if it just occurs as an annoyance, if it just occurs as a problem because you're only to the maturity level to think of, well, I do things this way, so if everyone, including your women, do things this way, we'll solve the problem. No big deal. Can't manage your money? Do it this way. Can't keep your things organized? Do it this way. Can't manage and organize your time management? Do it this way. And if you do anything else, it's not just that they're another human being that has another way of doing things. They are literally opposite, masculine, logical, pragmatic, direct, straightforward. Feminine is all the complete opposite of that. So all of those things that you may be grounded in, you may find as solid, effective, efficient ways of getting things done, everything I just laid out is fucking gibberish on the feminine side. Because for the feminine side of the coin, it's all about the feeling. It's all about the connection. It's all about the emotion. It's all about nurturing. It's all about the quality of life. Masculine answers the question, who am I? We got to take that cold, harsh, isolated path. Who am I going to be? The chaos all around, the unknown, the things you can't control, life be life, and you've got to be that grounded, rock solid. Again, that feminine flow of the flower, she's got to go with the flow. Unless she's grounded in her masculine. We're talking about feminine women. So I'm going to tailor the discussion to my grounded masculine men looking for feminine, flowing women. And so if she is that opposite, you have to. It is in your best interest to appreciate that polarity, to appreciate the differences in between. It doesn't mean they stop getting on your nerves, but you have the maturity from experience to understand it. Female nature. Whoo, that's the mark of the beast. And if you know anything about the red pill conversation, you definitely know what I'm talking about. And inside of that, I invite you to consider that it is par for the course. That's just the game. That's the nature. Honestly, because of course, we both got divine masculine, divine feminine. You've got it too. How you feel about things is very relevant. It's not as exercised as your masculine, traditionally, conservatively, by our society. It's not really viewed that way. We're just getting to the point where men's mental health, where men's emotions and feeling is actually getting on the radar to get acknowledged. So we're not conditioned to give a fuck, to be quite frank. So if you're expecting to hit everything, your only tool is a hammer and everything looks like a fucking nail, you're going to have a hard time when you come to a socket that needs a wrench. So inside of that, the maturity and understanding the other side is to get that, yes, there's all these benefits to feminine in your life. The disadvantages, are you ready for that feminine energy? Are you ready for the conversations that don't make any sense? Are you ready to hear about her problems and understand that she doesn't want you to fix shit? And we'll get mad if you try. What the fuck? Yes. Doesn't make it any better, but yes. Just the maturity to accept and understand. Because on the other side, they're looking at, why do you have to be so straightforward? Why are you trying to solve my problems? Why are you so logical? Why? Yes. Ladies as well, if you're still here and listening. Stop. Yes. Both sides. It's just maturity. It's just understanding. I'll tell you this way, fellas, right? In order to play the game, in order to get access, because we all know as men, you got to build something up. Unless you're just Pretty Boy Floyd, what they call them, Chads, Tyrones, unless it's that situation, you have to build something in yourself. And even if you're not that natural, which I actually think is a handicap, because then you don't have the experience of building up your game, building up your social quota, building up your mouthpiece, building up your communication skills, building up your relationship skills, then you're actually at a handicap. You're actually at a loss. So yeah, if you're not able to just jump in there and have it easy, you're having to build yourself into something. On the other side, you may not understand, appreciate, or value that they've been handed everything right off the jump. Now, yes, that's true. But again, I said the advantages that I choose to, tap into and understand, yeah, that's a bit unfair. 20-year-old, she's more valuable, going to the vibe, flying on planes, getting treated and everything, get on social media, show a cute outfit, and can have the world provided to her. Yes, all facts and true. Holla at your boy in 20 years. Mid-30s, 40s, got some experience under your belt, been established something, you've chosen a craft, you're chosen mastery, you're actually building yourself into something. Now how's she looking? And that's the trade-off. Fair, unfair, I don't know. And that value keeps going. You can keep starting your legacy. You can keep planting your seed. You can keep going on. You are going to become more valuable. So, hey, I just appreciate, the side that I'm on. Disney movies, propaganda, media, what everything has told you basically for years. If you're following an ideal, you have no idea. The map is not the territory. Actually dealing with women is completely different than just looking at women, thinking about women, whatever something like, until you actually get in there to understand female nature, until you actually get in there, experience what women are like, and not what they say they want, but what they actually respond to. It's deep as it can be. What happens when you take on dealing with this femininity, this opposite of your masculine, the emotions that are all over the place, the lack of the logic, all of those things. Not only that, for yourself, someone's got to lead. That's masculine. You hold the responsibility. You've got to do the work. Best thing I ever heard, first time I got married, I had an uncle, wise cat, told me, he said, if something goes wrong and it's your fault, you fucked up. If something goes wrong and it's her fault, you fucked up. That is the truth of it, fellas. That's being responsible. That's being a leader. That opposite part femininity, feminine energy. And I coach all my female clients to this. All the women in my life, I tell this. You are not responsible for anything. Not to say as a human being, women don't need to be held accountable, responsible. No, I'm saying in the dynamic, in the dance of masculine and feminine and relationships, the feminine partner. Now, fellas, if you want to be hands off, if you want to follow her lead, if you're cool with her vision and how she wants things to go, cool, that works. And I literally mean that with no shame, because again, I'm talking to energy. I've got clients, I've got friends, I know men, whether you want to say they're not, that are in their feminine. And that's not a knock, because we all have it. It's just, what do you drive in? And you may not always be 80, 90%, like most are. That's the default. You're going to be one energy, the other. Maybe you're 60, maybe you're 70, maybe you have a side of it. Maybe you've been raised around women, so it just comes naturally to you. But inside of all that, someone is going to have to take on the masculine energy. Someone is going to have to lead it. And if you're going to do that, means you're responsible. That means your boundaries, your rules, your guideline, your vision is going to have to contain that feminine for your women, for your children. And that going back to, there's work. Are they worth the work? Because remember, I said it earlier. Wouldn't it be nice if you had the maturity, if you had the skill set to have everything that you want? You want the 6s and 7s, the 8s and 9s. You want the 10s. Do you want multiple? I talked about non-monogamy. Well, if you want that, you can have that if you can lead it. That's one of the things I'm always a proponent of, and I will stand on my square forever. Every single man needs to address that conversation for himself. We're talking about the maturity, fellas. I'm going to get deep. This is about the core fundamentals. This is about the root cause of your problems. Not getting enough to be satisfied. Do you have enough feminine in your life? On the other side of that, do you know what it's like to manage, to lead, to contain for multiple feminine? You may change your mind. You may not want as much feminine in your life when you know what it's like to manage a wife and a girlfriend and have them get along, going to birthday parties. How do we take care of kids? How does the family, tribe, village, all of that expand? The shit gets deep. There's levels to this. But are you ready to handle that? So that's what I'm pointing to. Being responsible, the masculine energy of leading. Now, there's also pitfalls. Will it work out? How do you avoid the pitfalls? How do you avoid not planting your seed on some rotten fucking soil with rocks and thorns? How do you avoid not having it end, having the divorce that I touched on? I am divorced. I know what that's all about. And I've led through all of it. I made the decision. Oh, is it a hell yes or a hell no? And I'm hearing that my way doesn't work for you. God bless. All love. That's hard shit, and somebody's got to lead it. Over there on that feminine side, there's no responsibility. It's all on you. So how you say it is how it's going to go. If you're ready to step into that, you're ready to step into this conversation. Why it's even a conversation? Sex, meals, family, companionship, life partnership, marriage, whatever you want, building a legacy. Of course I want women in my life. But wait a minute. Stack all that onto your life. You got some things to deal with. And these are the problems that come up out of it. My perspective personally, just asking Dwayne, not masculine architect, Dwayne Langham. I'm all about all of the above. That's the type of guy I am. I call it my masculinity. I want it all. I want it all to work. I want it all I want to have and experience it all throughout this life. And with that leaves me very clear in my eyes that, yes, I want it all. I led the conversation with a lot of guys take the approach of when I get ready, when I get my game right, when I get my money tight, when I'm in position that I feel confident, I'm prepared. And to that, fellas, I got to tell you, it's honestly, you're entitled to your own thing. There are benefits to the monk mode. And when I say I'm an all of the above answer, multiple choice, I say that because I'm of the belief about balanced life. So in order to have it all for me, there's not a wait until I'm ready. I'm 40 now. And like I said, I got a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old. I got married at 24, relationship at 22, married at 24, kids at 26. That was the timeline. Not even knowing myself, not even fully matured. Hence the divorce. Course correction for me. Like I said, I led the shit. Once I'm clear, it's not the thing to be in. All right, let's make some things shake and move. I got some life to live. But to that, there's no right way to get. For those of you who may have that approach of, well, one day, someday, and you're holding yourself back because all of these benefits and spoils of the feminine in your life I've been talking to, you're missing out. You're deprived. There are things that you will not have access to, not just getting your rocks off, not just sex, satisfaction, and pleasure. You're also missing out on the opportunity of starting your legacy, raising kids. Who wants to be 60, 70 with a young family? Not that, again, we can, if that's the case, but just the thought, the foresight to look into that. And I told you when I got married, we don't even mature as men. Psychologically, our minds do not develop that frontal lobe for long-term real processing and maturity until our late 20s, almost going into 30s. That's why we tend to peak around there. So with that, if you don't have that understanding, you may be going too fast and too early. There may be some other things to prioritize, some more important things. It may be it doesn't fit yet. And at the same time, I've got kids that are about to be empty nest in the next 5-6 years type shit. So I can be more relaxed. I can be live and in my passion and building. And I've already got the partnership. I've already got the legacy growing. And now I can be at full focus. And again, balance. Because best believe those little ones, my legacy, everything it takes to be the man that I'm out to be, balance of gaining it all at once. So you just have to ask yourself, I presence that and share my perspective for you to find for yourself. This is kind of pointing to those questions that you want to answer before you get in here and play, because this ain't no little boy shit. I'm going to take a pause right now to really help you understand, because the weight and impact of responsibility of our words, this shit has psychological, mental, emotional, and real world impact from your thoughts, words, and actions as a grounded masculine man. And I give that somber warning so that you can have the reality of the significance of the situation. That again, the words you say, the actions you take, real fucking life is impacted. I talked about those childhood traumas. I talked about the things that we experience coming up, right? And please understand that what I'm saying is to these lovely ladies on the other side of the coin, to these children, to the world of feminine, women and children, basically, your actions, your words have impact. I'm no two-parent household. No father figure present, period. I'm a product of that. It has an impact. And on one side of the story, whatever conditions, systematic or whatever was going on in society, that impact hits real life, real fucking heart. And let alone for the adults, the women that you impact with your actions, your words, the children that come out of those situations, the trauma that they experience in those situations, broken homes, broken families, a complete missing of healthy, non-toxic environment. That's on you. So before you play this game, this is the big leagues, this is the big boys. Little boys play with toys. Men, put down the toys and pick up the tools. You're building shit out in the real world. Businesses, legacies, impacting community, not just yourself, the soul isolation I was talking about, but as you become bigger, more experienced, more expanded, more valuable, it's because you're giving value. You make yourself valuable to give value out in the world. And so people come to rely on you, whether you have women and children in your life, your community, your company, your business, whatever it is, however your life is situated, the things that you do have impact. Just think about that as a leader, as the lead of society, which all men are seen as. Literally how you carry yourself, how you hold your head high, how you dress yourself, how you communicate. Every facet of your life is an example. Little people are looking up to you. Women are looking at the example of what's available. Life is created by your very fucking existence. These are benefits. This is why I love this side of the coin, because I get the freedom of expression. I get to be who it is that I say I'm going to be and create and pour into a world that I say I want to see, which is why I'm here. Everything I'm talking about, I'm not just talking about these problems. I'm not pointing the finger. That's why I say I can't feed into the gender wars. I don't want to keep this shit living. I believe in happiness. I believe in love, prosperity, and all that. So I'm pouring into that. Well, with whatever you're doing, if it's pointing the finger, if it's being on the side of this gender Cold War going on, you're feeding into it. You can be part of the problem or part of the solution. So I really just wanted to stop, take a time out and speak to that, fellas, because this is what's on your shoulder no matter what you do, no matter what you say. MGTOW, okay, there's going to be an impact and wave to that, men going their own way. Pump them and dump them, get rid of them, whatever. The revolving door, Play the game if you want. Enjoy it that way. It's going to leave trauma. It's going to leave damage, let alone the shit that's coming to yourself. Because best believe you got some trauma in there. You got some healing to do. You got some conversations of why you want that validation, why you want that company is more than just enjoying the soft feminine. It's my arm candy. It's now I'm good enough. It's now they respect me. Look at the kind of man I am. Those are little boys' games. We're not playing with that over here. This is about that grown man shit. All work and no play. Man, do we know it is hard out here for men? Nobody focused on your mental health. Is it hard out here to do what you do every day? And we know Father's Day is not enough. We know that the calendar, the celebrations, those aren't even the things that we want. If it's just so simplified, fuck me, feed me, shut the fuck up. There's nothing really geared on the consumerism, on the calendar, the celebrations, the holidays. None of that really tailors to what a man wants. Society is not masculine-centric. When we've had the masculine-centric society of the past, it led us to where we are now with the equality, feminism conversation. So we can't feed into that. So while you are surviving this cold, harsh, masculine world, all work, no play, is dull as fuck. Real talk, that's my choice in why. I've got a thirst for life. I've got a thirst for all of it. I want to enjoy all of it. I want to be big enough. I want to expand myself so that I can hold it down and enjoy the spoils of whatever aspect of life that I want. And in order to do that, you got to choose to step into this stuff. So what are the drivers, right? What are the reasons other than balance, other than, all work and no play being dull? Well, sex, first and foremost. Let's just get that out of the way. There's nothing to question, nothing to confuse about. If you want sex in your life, you want sexual satisfaction, pleasure, like I said, non-monogamy, whatever sexual exploits you are interested in, you're going to have to play the game. You're going to have women in your life. You can pay for it. That has its impact. You can go online on a screen. There is an epidemic going on that definitely has its impact. And here's the thing. Just by your existence, I've really been underlying this, and I hope it knocks it home. Just by your existence as a man, just by your grounded masculinity, you are worthy. You are enough. It's just two sides of the coin, men, women. Neither is lesser, more, equal. Not the fucking same, just different. So with that, you have to be aware, responsible, mindful that to get your sexual satisfaction, it's something as free as water. Why would you pay for it? Why would you feel low enough in value that your only satisfaction is derived from a screen, from OnlyFans, from somebody, exchanging it to others? It's not something exclusively to you, because that's part of the conversation as well. Do you feel worthy enough that you can get it, that you go for it, that you know yourself, have built yourself into that? And if not, you need to do the reps so that you can, because there is no difference. There is no similarity. Having your seed accepted, received, because feminine is open. Feminine casts the vote. I'm down with you. I'm feeling you. I like your energy. I like what you're about. Let me go ahead and open up. And so to get that sexual gratification, without it, that's worse than all work and no play. It's not just dull. That is distraught. Your needs need to be met biologically. This seed, some tissues and lotion ain't getting it. You need a nice warm body, a pulse, the affection, the attention, and that beautiful climax. But you get it. Help me to a house is not a home until there's a woman, until there's some femininity in it. To help you in building your legacy, to help you fulfill on your vision, to help you raise your children, to help you be the best human being, best version of a man that you can be. That is where a helpmate can step in. That is a benefit of having women in your life. What else is there? As we started, my work is divine masculine and feminine energy. So to that, there's a yoking of these energies. What do I mean by that? I want to be clear. The divine masculine, divine feminine, if you imagine the yin and yang symbol, that's really what I'm talking about, because with that polarity, with those opposites inside of the dance together, what happens when two merge into one is that each of those polar opposites now get the opportunity to yoke off of each other. Meaning that when I said that 80-90% driving in masculine, driving in feminine for the other side of the coin, you now get to yoke off, balance that energy, that I can go all into my masculine because my feminine partner over here, my lady, as bringing that feminine element to my life. She's making sure to book my massages or give me my massage. She's making sure that my self-care, mani-pedi, grooming, moisturizing, whatever is taken care, I don't have to think about that stuff, and vice versa. Talked about that logical, illogical, organization, time management, finances, all these conversations and layers of life that nobody's perfect at. But when you bring two together, getting to yoke off of each other and balance that dance, it makes it ever more powerful, because the deeper you can go into your masculine, the deeper she can flow into her feminine, allowing the strength of what you have together to become even more powerful. And in that same regard, the spiritual magnification. Yes, whatever you believe in, where there are more than two. Call it Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, masterminding. Biblically in the Bible, you're talking about bringing more than two in one place together. Alcoholics Anonymous even. We are social creatures. So when you bring two together, it spiritually magnifies the energy. That listening, being seen, someone else seeing your dreams and vision, and vice versa, both sides. You feed and pour into her with your masculine benefits that make her better, while she doesn't have to develop and grow her masculine. Her feminine energy pouring into you, making you better, while you don't have to develop and flow and work on your feminine. It is there and healthy and being self-aware for yourself. But in the partnership, you get the yoking, you get the spiritual magnification. The benefits of that, truly, you have your own judgments. And with that, I do mean marriage, life commitment, union, whatever you want to call it, on whatever level, whatever you and the people involved with decide to create. The benefits of that are not about you. There's a huge confusion nowadays where everyone's focused on, am I happy? There's nothing wrong with that, right? And I say this as a divorced man. Obviously, if it don't work, it don't work. I don't believe in perpetuating unhappiness. And lessons that I have learned through even an amicable divorce that I led the charge for, to see that it's executed as best as possible, which is still uncontrollable and still divorce. There is still separation, grief, and pulling something apart. And inside of that, everyone gets traumatized. That's just a part of it. But inside of that, what I'm really speaking to is what I've learned is that it wasn't even about us, me and her, my ex. It's about the children. It's about the legacy. And there's an understanding, maturity, and commitment that doesn't mean you stay in it. And it's not simply the am I happy? It's what's best for these children, the legacy, the next generation, that they have healthy, non-toxic access and constant hands-on from both sides, masculine and feminine, in their life. That beautiful dynamic is the only sole purpose of marriage, life, partnership, companionship. We as human beings in this experience benefit, yes, and the children that are left behind to pass on the legacy, the next generation, that truly is what is cultivated inside of this companionship, partnership. That's how the resources, that's how the assets, that's how the wealth gets passed down generation to generation, is inside of that unity, that partnership. Literally, it is a contract. It is a business arrangement. Relationships are arrangements to that regard. There's an exchange of value. What you value and want to get over there, they value and want to get over here. If it works, you find somebody compatible. That's at the first level. When you actually go for that life partnership, well, how do we pass our assets? How do we pass our genes? So that really is the purpose. I want to add the maturity and understanding. If you're a young person, man, woman, whatever, have not experienced marriage, life partnership, you really have to go in, begin with the end in mind is what I'll advise you. And that's why I dropped that little nugget to really point out that it's not just about you. You being happy is not the only thing. Because if you commit to and create something, the moment new life is brought into it, or the moment some legacy building assets are involved, that's why arranged marriages, that's why the original marriages is just a contract to make sure that something stays strong and that this merger, this union is solid to last and go forward and is fruitful. So stop and think about that before you just think what I always preach against, the relationship escalator. You like somebody, you feel something, they like you. So first comes love, then comes marriage. Next thing you know, it's a baby in a baby carriage. No, pump the brakes on that bullshit. It's especially over here, the responsibility on the macro side. Micro is the feminine, the day-to-day interactions and things. How does everything feel? What is life? Who am I? Who are we? Who is this clan and tribe? What are we doing and building? That is the macro. Do we work? Are we compatible? That is the macro. And that responsibility is on the masculine. So to that, again, your words, your actions, your promises, your thoughts and beliefs, they all create something that has rippling impact out in society and with others. So be responsible for that shit, please, first and foremost. Living with your wine. Now, I want my fellas to drop the comments because there's some knowledge and some wisdom to this. I'm going to drop my position and opinion, but I really want to give you the chance to engage and take it on for yourself because, again, me married 22, relationship 22, married at 24, kids, family, and all that. Having that experience, going through divorce, re-entering bachelorhood, dating, and having found the experience. I did the whole shebang. The birds, up in the birds, house on top of the hill, all that good shit. Been there, done that. My mantra is masculine goes to the suburbs to die. To get old, fat, and die. And I don't mean that with anything harsh, but the truth of it is masculinity, something conditioned, mature grounded masculinity, conditioned to be isolated, conditioned to be harsh. You see, primitively, the masculine left the village, left the womb, left the comforts of the kingdom to go expand the empire, to go monitor the boundaries, to go war with the neighboring tribes. If you can imagine that, they left not knowing when or if they would come back. How amazing was it for her to see that man coming back over the hill and he's back, for the kids to see dad coming back with adventures and trinkets and gifts being brought back. You know, mommy and daddy had to get that time on because they miss each other, but you can feel the energy of that, right? There's something different to that in today's modern, sedentary, in the comforts of the kingdom. Shit, in the comforts of the home, working from home after COVID. It's easy, especially when living with your feminine, day in, day out, 8 hours sleeping throughout the day. Maybe you both work from home, maybe you both work another job, but all these conditions where you're constantly up under. It's been said so many ways, but an office, a place to get away, a reason to get away, period, is of value. And I say that because the deeper conversation, if you want your relationship to thrive, if you're one that has come to the conclusion that, yes, there is space in my life for women, and I want to make that available, I'll encourage you, no different than taking on life partnership and marriage, to take on the conversation for, do you want to live with your partner? LTA, living together apart. So it is life together apart, one of those. But the context is, just because you're together in a relationship or even married, don't just hop on the escalator. Don't just go for what everybody says. Now, mind you, we're stepping into the range of grown man talk. So no different than having multiple women, having multiple locations, multiple homes. This is big boy shit. If you're struggling, surviving, trying to get by, don't even worry about it. Don't even consider it because you're not at that level. And what I want to emphasize is, before you all, let's consolidate, let's save money, let's move in together and all. She's going to love it. Sure, it may be the dagger in the back that tears things apart. Because unless you are maintaining a healthy space for the masculine cultivation and the female appreciation, feminine nature needs separation, needs, and I want to be responsible with that because I'm speaking about it from masculine context. Your feminine woman will not want to be separate from you at all. She'll want to be in your fucking skin if you got your game right and holding everything down tight. Now, is that to her your benefit of the relationship, the family, and everything? No. Now, mind you, especially if there's children involved, remember I said that access to. This does not mean that you're forever just apart, but a few days a week a month, however it works for your balance, your situation, your life, there is absolute value for those young men that I'm really talking to. Because my men with experience, I'm sure you know, and if you know, you probably set it up. I know guys all the time in a relationship, decades strong, but you got some space, and I'm not talking about your man cave. Bro, you got to understand, if they can't miss you, if they can't not see you, if they can't wonder about you, that's where I say, from the man's perspective, femininity, feminine nature, female nature needs to have mystery, needs to wonder about you. If it is so predictable that she knows what you're going to do, what time, what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, because she's seen you, watched you do it day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, decade after decade, you're setting yourself up for failure. To you as well. Now, see, here's the thing. If it was two men in the situation, if it was two masculine energies, it wouldn't so much matter. We would be logical to know, hey, I like you, you like me, we're compatible, we work, we make life better, we've got a vision frame, good, go. And that's how the world of masculine works. It's just that fucking simple. We're logical, straightforward, pragmatic. We don't want any of the other bullshit. The feminine spectrum of all of the emotion, if you know, you know. You can't make her happy. She has to be able to do that herself. So the thing is, the consistency is a baseline. For us, that's fucking ideal. We're good. This is settled. I don't need to do any extra work because we've done a good job. I picked a good partner. You picked a good partner. We've built a good legacy, foundation, everything that we're doing, it all works. Great, dope. That works for us. Femininity, what is that flat line? Dead, boring, dull as fuck. There's no predictability. There's no spontaneity. Do you know? And if you know, you know. In your courtship, in your gaming, dating, whatever you did with her, the longer you could draw out that story, the more attractive you were, the more valuable you were. It's no different in the long game. I'm telling you this, brother. It don't matter if you're a year in, it don't matter if you're 10 years in, it doesn't matter if you're 6 months, and 6 months doesn't really apply. But the context is, over time, to maximize optimum. I'm not saying it's not possible, but what we got to get is the reality. With that flatline expectation, with men wanting to go, well, let's just go to traditional values. Let's just be the feminine women that mom and grandma were. You will be burned at the stake by that shit in today's day and age. It is what it is. We just have to accept that. Can't throw out the baby with the bathwater. That's not going to happen. So accepting what needs to be of benefit was that in those older times, through the separation of what women couldn't do or weren't expected to do or weren't allowed to do, men were given space, were at a distance, were doing all the things that women couldn't do. There was much more clarity and distinction of the roles. Now, again, for good reason, that's not a bad thing to get rid of. We can be more flexible. We can be more fluid. And if you don't hold the value that there needs to be maintained, a masculine space. This is why I say this. If you are going to live with your partner, live with a woman in your life, you need to absolutely be prepared with your bare necessities. You need to have your freedom and independence maintained. You need to have your projects, your goals, your building. Don't get lazy. Don't get comfortable. Don't think you can just sit your happy ass up with your woman. Be comfortable with whatever bonbon, snacks, kick your feet up, relax lifestyle, Netflix and chill all day, every day, because you got the family, because you got the house, because you got the women, because you've already done it. Nope. Non-monogamy makes it a little bit different because it does add some variables in there that keep things fresh, flexible. You've just got no choice but to manage because there's now multiple. It honestly, my own personal belief, is a benefit on so many levels for both parties. But that's another conversation. Drop it down in the comments if you want to talk about that next week live at 5. But beyond that, you need the separation because masculinity needs to be among masculinity. If you walk away from the world of masculine, you walk away from everything that made you you. You walk away from everything that was the polarity that attracted her in the first place. She's drawn to who you were. Now, yes, she wants you to do it her way. She wants you to match her preferences. She wants you to show up as the man she wants you to be. But again, talks about it earlier, if you know, female nature, it's not about just doing what they want. It's not just being who they want you to be, because what they say they want is not what they respond to genetically, energetically, on so many levels. If you know, this just is what it is. You need to stay sharp. You need to have distance. She needs to have a mystery. You need your space to be away, to be in touch with life, to be in touch with yourself, to be in touch with your vision, dreaming, goals for what you're living for. You need to be working in something. You need to have that time away for both of you to go and live some fucking life, to come back together and have something to talk about. Do you hear these core elements? Again, I'm not talking about the symptoms and shit that we get caught up with. Cut the weeds, cut the grass. Let's get down to the root of it. This is shit that is missing, and this is why so much is not working. These are the elements and levels of things you need to consider before you play this game, before you step up to the plate. We're talking about the big leagues here. This is life creating. Your 5 or 10 years here doing this is going to have impact after the fact. It's going to leave a mark. It's going to leave some trauma. It's going to leave somebody with something, including yourself. The grief of tearing something apart that became broken, that no longer works. Everybody's hurt. Everybody's devastated. Everybody's traumatized, including your fucking self. So keep that shit in mind as you go out here playing these games, because it's not a game. You're creating real fucking life. So inside of that, I just want to drop that last note of something to consider: living with your woman. My own personal belief, I'm going to hold down for at home, my kingdom, and at the same time, I'm going to have my separate space. Whether it's a work office, whether it's a work loft, whether it's a studio space, somewhere where I can get to go and do what I need to do a few days a week and get some space, to get centered and grounded into my energy, to be focused on who I am as a man, to keep my masculine energy sharp, to bring that back and have her benefit and feed off. It all works. Take 2, call me in the morning. That is my prescription and recommendation that will keep your relationship, if you choose to take on this path and have women in your life, healthy, strong, and thriving. That healthy ecosystem to have it survive is fellowship. Fellas, I got to tell you, in becoming so soft, considerate, effeminate, and everything that's happened in these modern times, modernity for men, it has robbed us of the fellowship we used to benefit from, let alone a rite of passage. I don't want to get on that soapbox, but we used to be initiated into a standard of something. And that's what started my work, is that we have no standards. Nobody told us, nobody showed us. So here I am, showing up for all of us. Let's make a difference. I got to be the change I want to see in the world. But without having that rite of passage to guide us in the right direction, to have the boot camp, the initiation, the hell week to be led into before you can have a woman, before you can have a tribe, a village, a legacy, all the things that were associated with meeting that standard or rite of passage. We also had a completely different dynamic of fellowship. I told you, we were out away from the village, defending, fighting, expanding, gathering. With who? Other men. Who was in the village? The women and children. The feminine was amongst the feminine. The masculine was amongst the masculine. We got the therapy, the healing. And I'll tell you, because the women and children, they still have that. Feminine-centric community, socialization, that's still there. If anything, everything flies. And it's so fluid that that's where a lot of problems are coming up in society. But here's the sad part, fellas. This is why last year, 2023, 2024, men's mental health, those conversations are coming to a forefront. It's not just human beings' mental health. That is one conversation. But what also is there unspoken is that our generations have been missing access to the point where we no longer have it distinguished to just have healthy fellowship. Now, again, this is root cause. So if you're with me, you're with me. If you know, you know. I'm talking about fellowship because having that space, you don't need to open up and be flowing in your feminine with your feminine partner. You can't be broken down and hurting and expecting your feminine partner to heal you. You are her rock. You are her pillar. You're holding up the family. You're holding up the tribe, the village, the community. What does it look like if you're broken down talking about how scared you are? Not that you're supposed to be toxically inhumane and have no feelings and just do it anyway. No, you need to take that to your men. You need to take that to your fellowship. You need to keep the space for your woman to have that polarity, to have that charge of he's got it. Sit back, relax, take it easy. Remember, feminine wants to exhale and relax behind your leadership. Trust that you got it. And if you're bringing it here to her, letting her know, I don't know about this next one. I don't know how we're going to do next season. I don't know how we're going to do next year. I don't know if I'm going to make it. Now, this does not mean you can't show vulnerability. This does not mean there are healthy, mature levels to all of it. And what I'm saying is it is not going to work, succeed, be ideal, optimal, beneficial if you are boo-hooing, hard on your shoulder, just like your feminine woman, and expecting her to be your therapist, expecting her to be everything. That's a whole other element, and hey, that'll probably put us into the MGTOW conversation, men going their own way. But I really hope that you think twice before you just decide it is of best interest for you and your partner to live together, to do life together, because those things are not the most optimal way, in my view at least. And again, with all these conversations, you are your own grown-ass, mature, masculine man. I leave it to you to make the determination, to make the decision, to actually look in your life whether or not it works. Proceed. I'm going to give you my 5 questions you have got to ask yourself as a man before you consider whether or not to bring women, feminine in your life to decide if they belong. You've taken everything into consideration. You know the problems. You've got the information. Now it's time to make a choice. Ask yourself these 5 questions. First and foremost, fellas, what do you want? And I don't mean that on the surface. Otherwise, you're just going to say all the dream list, the same thing the women be doing where we talk about they have these delusional needs that don't make sense. Well, I want the biggest booty. I want the biggest ass. They got to have some big dick. Got to be able to cook. I want the traditional values. You're just going to list that? No. What do you want in a partner? What do you value? What's important to you? How do you want to be loved? How do you want to be spoken to, catered to? How do you want to be spoken into, poured into? How do you want her feminine energy to flow? Do you care if she's feminine? Do you actually need someone in their masculine, someone who aspires, who has goals, who can hold it down and pay some bills along with you? Maybe you're of the 50-50 belief. Hey, no judgment. But the whole context is knowing what you want first. And this really starts with yourself before you even get to categorize women, because you're the lead. You are the visionary. If you haven't determined what it looks like, so that means you got to be clear about your life ideals. You got to be clear about your vision for legacy. Do you want to be married? Do you want life partnership? I say all these fellas because the more prepared you are, that's why this first question is so important. You're going to be going down a path where if you don't have your ideals clear, stand for something, you're fucking fault for anything. First pretty face and a smile to come around and whisper in your ear. Remember that feminine nature. It can be very manipulative, can be deceptive. But if you don't know the ideals, if you have, okay, whatever you say, bro, happy wife, happy life, get the fuck out of here. Get off the live right now. Who said it? Stuff like coaches. Whoever bought into that bullshit, not around here, you're the lead. You're responsible. Your actions, choices, and decisions. So it's got to be your plan, your vision, your ideals. Do you want to leave a legacy? Do you want children or not? Got to have clarity in that, because best believe they got a biological timer. So depending on if you're young, they're young, or if you're going for the young, it's on their mind. That's a qualification. Don't waste your time. Don't waste theirs. Don't be a bad fucking human being out here, guys. Have this shit clear for yourself, because they're waiting on you to lead. Feminine doesn't make those decisions. And once they get locked in with their heart, it makes it so much harder for them to pull apart, for them to make the decision, for them to cut it off. No, feminine energy doesn't do that. Decide, make a decision. Do you understand FOMO? That shit is real for the feminine. So they're not going to do that. You're responsible. This is on you. You did that shit. You created it. And it's not just what you end up dealing with. It's what they end up dealing with. It's not all about the satisfaction of, what you're getting out of the relationship. How are you leaving people? Is there a wake behind you of damage, broken hearts, trauma? Is the next man dealing with what you did to this poor soul? That's the context. So with that, you want to look for yourself and be clear on what you want. What are your life ideals? Do you want to have a legacy? What's the quality of life that you need? If you're satisfied at $80K a year, $100,000 a year, and you got a woman who needs 300, needs a $250,000 lifestyle, $1 million, 7-figure, 8-figure, that's not going to match up. Somebody's not going to be satisfied. You're either going to be driven into the ground, working to the skin and bone, because she wants more and you want to please, you want to provide. But if you got clarity for yourself, this is the quality of life from my vision. Again, I'm still on step 1. What do you want, fellas? Answer these questions. Be clear on this before you play this game. It's not that you need your coins together. It's not that you need your game tight. You don't have to have all the answers. You have to be willing to step up and answer to the call. That if you're going to have a woman in your life, for whatever reason, friends with benefits, it's got baggage. Situationships, relationships, life companionship. There's levels to this shit. Big boy game. So you better be ready for all of it. Last thing, like I said, partnership, family. Moving on to number 2. Are you qualified, fellas? Now, this is a book I've got coming out, The Qualified Man. I say that because you want to be clear for yourself, your qualifications. Now, for me, that looks like sustaining provisions. That looks like I provide and own the space for the feminine in my life, my partner, my children, their children, whatever. I say how that's going to go for the women I entertain. So inside of that, I'm not ready for life partnership. I'm not ready for companionship unless I know I can sustain how that goes. Step into a situation where the life commitment is not on your terms. When her clock said something or her rules, you hear it. This is her vision, her masculine over there. Yeah, she's got a timeline. Them's the breaks. That's how feminine works. What do you say? Are you ready for this? Do you even want this? So having clarity, being qualified in your own life, have you found success for yourself? Have you found your path for yourself? Do you know what you're doing as a man? Because again, every step, action you take, every day you live into it, week you live into it, month, year you live into it, life you create with children, you can't just up and, now I'm going to go travel the world. Now I'm going to go abroad. You're locked in, fam. And no different than women, but the context, you're the lead. It's your seed. You planted that. You're responsible for it. So if you're not qualified, and with respect, this is to the men that by their own choice decide not to play the game, decide that they want to get their coins together first. Just make sure you don't avoid developing your game. Interact with women along the way. You need the experience of that regardless. Get the reps in as soon as possible. But beyond that, you really got to make sure, are you qualified for yourself to leave it? And with that, establishing that you are competent to be a leader. Here's the secret to leadership. Nobody wants to be a leader, so it's fairly fucking easy to step up. The thing is, all it is being willing to answer the call. Something's missing, something's needed, something's not working. I'm willing to step up. Number 3, do you have the experience to women? So if you've gotten to this point and you're deciding to have women in your life, do you have experience? Not just lost your V card, not just had a girlfriend. Have you done the reps to be comfortable in your own skin, to be in your confidence? If you're believing in happy wife, happy life, if you're the type, anything you say, baby, like no thinking for yourself, no leading for yourself, nah, that ain't it. That's not what I'm talking about. Sit back, take it easy, take some notes. The experience that you want with women is such that you demystify all the confusion. You expose yourself as much as healthily possible to female nature. Because the things that I'm telling you about, fellas, if you go in there and don't understand that, why is it so different 6 months, 2 years later, 5 years later, marriage later? Well, once the commitment's there, why did things change? Because you never understood female nature. And guess what? Like I said, if something's fucked up and it comes from them, you fucked up. So I'm trying to get you prepped. I'm trying to get you to understand and get everything in perspective. You want to get your reps in, get your experience with women. Do that as soon as possible, because you will be strung up, taken advantage of, all the pitfalls, all the everything. I'm telling you, it's probably not going to last, or you will not be happy, or you will be taken advantage of, or taken to the cleaners, what they call it, divorce rape. It literally is female nature. And I say that because they are all, no matter how great and amazing, they are still just another woman. Don't get it wrong. You're just another man. I'm fair. Both sides of the coin. And as men, in the generations of men today in modern society, where women have hardened, modern women have hardened into their masculine, opposite, men have softened into their feminine, not in a good way. And I don't mean just being emotionally intelligent. I don't mean just being vulnerable and able to talk through things and communicate. No, I mean the softness that can be taken advantage of into that divorce rape. If you are naive and bought into the nice guy complex, if you are naive and experienced and bought into the Disney movies, the propaganda, the media, anything that will lead you to believe. Now, you have to be a few steps past red pill rage where it all just infuriates you. And if you know, you know. If you understand, you have to be conditioned for the cold, harsh reality that if you skip over all this shit I'm talking about and wind up creating a situation that you are now tied to, intertwined, mingled with, have created a situation that your life is engaged with someone, connected with someone, bonded with someone, committed to someone that is not to your benefit and is not in her best interest. Female nature of a foul character. If you're with the type of person that now it is doggy dog. Now it is foul situations. And especially, nowadays we got conversations for passport purposes. You go into other countries, you don't know what kind of third world situations they've been on. Fucking kill you. That's just the truth of it. Just real talk is humanity, right? From a context of, if you don't understand that a pretty face, big butt, and a smile does not mean that they will not take your ass out. Literally. Now, divorce rape is light. Amicably, divorce is going to fucking hurt. It hurts your soul. Like, grieving is involved in it, let alone added being taken advantage of, taken to court, getting the short end of the stick and everything that's out there. The extreme of it, you get some situations, people coming from low level, third world, impoverished, survival type living. Take a motherfucker out without hesitation. No different. You got to understand, depending on the level of life that you're at, that's just part of life. So I say that with responsibility. I just want to give you the warning and insight to be aware of what you can step yourself into. So now number 4, keeping it moving, right? Getting your experience, getting the reps and the women. You've decided to have women in your life. The 4th question you got to ask yourself is, where do women fit into your life? I talked about that earlier. So if you're one of those, I'm going to build it on the back end. Let me get my relationship settled, my legacy settled. Let me learn what I need to do the reps with women. Let me also get the relationship experience to do that work. It will build you into a type of man. It is of value. And then I'm going to get the business together. And then I'm going to get the finance together. I'm going to use that feminine multiplying, pouring into me. I'm going to use that spiritual magnification of putting us two together. And then we're going to make our dreams, aspirations, and desires happen. Nothing wrong with it at all. Or vice versa. Maybe you need to focus in first and push the family off till later. But that's what I'm speaking to. Where do they fit in? Living with your partner. I touched on that. Where does it fit in? Do you need your space to be maintained? Do you need to have a separate place to step away? Do you need them right up under you? If you need it together for safety, trust, if you can't trust not being able to see them, you need to control the situation. That sounds more like insecurities. But really, for yourself as a man, you got to decide, not just do you want women in your life, where and how do they fit? Here's why I say that. On the other side of it is all that, black of the berry, sweet of the juice. So getting caught up in all the feminine spoils, getting caught up in all the sex, all the food, all the experiences, all the softness, all the everything that's great about feminine can leave you distracted, can leave you self-sabotaging, can leave you not focused on what is important for your vision, your life, and your legacy, and that is not her responsibility. So if you're not clear where you've got room for them to fit in, maybe you're in school and you need to finish so you can get that degree. Maybe you're building up a career in business and you need to work late to make things happen. If you can't have the boundaries, the firm discipline, nope, I'm up at 5, 6 in the morning getting back to it. Nope, I'm working late till 9, 10 o'clock. Deal with it, boo. I'm not going to be home. If you can't fit that in and hold those boundaries, that soft, oh, baby, just stay in bed. Ooh, look at this outfit I got on. Aren't you going to hurry home? You will be distracted as fuck. And they will tear that out of you. And again, feminine nature, they do it because it feels good in the moment. They experience it. They don't give a fuck about the long term. They don't give a fuck about your dreams and goals. They don't give a fuck about you paying off debts, building up an empire, their financial legacy, or anything. They care about that stuff when it gets to that point. Later, you're the fuck up if you screwed the pooch, lost it, didn't do it, haven't made any progress. Feminine is only worried about what is life. What is life right now? I miss you. I'm lonely. I'm horny. I need you. We're broke. You're not doing much. You're always here. You're so predictable. You're always doing the same thing. Do you hear these conversations? This is female nature. That's what I want to prepare you for, fellas. So make sure you know where women fit in for your vision before you start playing this game. Last but not least, I want to thank you for sticking along. This has been a long one. 90 minutes, hour and a half. They've been juicy. I don't know if I can keep it live at 5. I'm pushing into 90 minutes at this point, but I'm passionate about this work and I want to get it all out. Question number 5, got to ask yourself whether or not to have women in your life. Can you put in the work to embrace the journey? I talked about it earlier. They're different. They're the opposite side. It's going to be a whole other situation. But are you willing to put in the work? Be clear on that. I say this because the entire journey is going to take work. It's going to take work to build yourself up. It's going to take work to build your skills. It's going to take work to build up the man that you are. It's going to take work to be ready to experience women, to put in the reps. Everything I've been telling you about, it's all work. Me doing it right now to tell you is work. Can you do that work and embrace the journey? Shut the fuck up and do it. Don't complain about how women are. Don't point the finger and push it all. You know you're responsible. You've gotten the information. Can you just do the work and embrace that this is it? That's that maturity I talked about. Can you understand the female nature and just learn how to position yourself and play the game so that you win to your advantage? That's going to be the last piece that really will empower you and put you in the best position to have feminine in your life as a grounded, mature, masculine man and enjoy it. And with